From the outside looking in, it can sometimes appear that peak performers have an elusive talent or skill that sets them apart from the rest of us. However, what usually sets peak performers apart isn't what they can do, it's what they will do. You are listening to the Trading Edges Podcast, the podcast dedicated to seeking and sharing the best ideas and principles from peak performers across all domains of performance and achievement to help you discover your full trading potential.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Houston, and welcome to episode 23 of Trading Edges. In today's show, we're going to have a conversation on the nature of beliefs and how they affect our trading. As well, we're going to get into why developing awareness is really the central tenet to successful trading. Let me first start with a quote that was popularized by Tharp. You do not trade the markets. You can only trade your beliefs about the markets. And here's another passage from Tharp. What does it mean to say we only trade our beliefs about the markets? Let's look at some statements and see what you believe about them. Number one, the market is a dangerous place to invest. True or false? Whatever your answer, you're right. The market is a safe place to invest. True or false? Again, whatever the answer is, you are right. Wall Street controls the markets and it's hard for the little guy. You can easily make money in the markets. It's hard to make money in the markets. You need to have lots of information before you can trade profitably. Again, are those statements true or false? And however you answer them, you're probably right. So do you see a theme here? Your opinion about each one of these statements is correct, whatever it happens to be. And as Tharp says, there is no real right or wrong answer here. Some people will have the same beliefs as you, and others won't. But that's not important. What is important is to understand that our beliefs form the basis for what we do. Our beliefs direct our behaviors. And your beliefs direct your thinking and your subsequent actions. If we group all of our beliefs together into a collection, they form our collective identity. They form, our individual identity. So if you get this, what's the problem, right? Where do we go wrong here? Here's the issue. Somewhere along the line, most of us have created beliefs that may have once served us, but may no longer serve us. Let me say it again. Your beliefs are neither positive or negative. Simply put, somewhere along the line, the beliefs that used to serve you no longer serve you. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, that you grew up in a family where you were praised for achievement and performance. That is your grades, your manners, your rule following, your people pleasing, your appearance, and how well you did in sports. Somewhere along the line, you probably adopted this dangerous and debilitating belief system where I am what I accomplish and how well I accomplish it. Guess what? Your need for external validation takes the form and identity of being a perfectionist. You see, we often think of perfectionism as a positive self-developmental trait, but it isn't. For those folks who are true perfectionists, perfectionism at its core is all about trying to earn approval. So let's think about how this may play out in your trading if you're a perfectionist or someone who has perfectionist tendencies. Maybe you're unable to take losses, the losses that you need to take because you don't want to quote unquote appear wrong. You see, that's the fear of failure. Maybe you have issues with performance, that is, being unable to execute the trades you need to trade based on your plan because you can't stand the uncertainty of not being right and getting approval. Maybe you have an overly judgmental inner critic. Ask yourself, what does the voice of your inner critic sound like when you're trading? You've had a string of losses. Is it constantly berating you, criticizing you, and telling you that you're not living up to expectations? So here's the rub. Here, you created a belief system for yourself that once protected you. In fact, it probably got you pretty far in the real world. However, in trading, it no longer serves you. In fact, these beliefs have now turned on you. This is why every trading psychology text out there talks about the importance of being aware of the beliefs that we carry. Empowering and enhancing beliefs can carry us to great things, but disempowered and self-limiting beliefs drag us down. The trick is that most of the beliefs that we have about ourselves are often unconscious, which makes them very difficult to examine. As the saying goes, the unseen is always the parent of the seen. It's never the opposite. Let me say it again. The unseen is always the parent of the seen, never the opposite. In neuroscience terms, the lower brain co-opts the higher levels to get what it wants. That means the subconscious is what is driving our behaviors. And the job of the subconscious is to protect us from harm, not to produce positive results. The job of the subconscious is to protect us, not to produce positive results. Most of the literature around changing our behavior talks about this long process of changing our beliefs by examining our beliefs. And usually it's kind of a look in the rear view mirror approach, right? Where it's only after something has gone wrong, like after we've blown up an account or taken some bad trades, where we can do the post-operative analysis or triage and determine whether or not our limiting beliefs were at play or to blame. This approach works, but it's not the only approach. So I'm going to share with you a framework that I'm developing, as well as introduce you to some exercises for you to begin to unravel the nature of your beliefs and how to begin to deprogram and reprogram your limiting beliefs and get at the core of what's driving your behaviors. And the framework is as follows: awareness, transformation, and intention, or ATI. Awareness, transformation, and intention. In this podcast, we're going to spend our time talking about the A, awareness. However, the transformation part and the intention pieces will have to wait for another podcast because it's just too much ground to cover in one show. So let's talk about awareness. The first step towards freeing yourself of limiting beliefs is simply to begin with awareness and understanding. Because we need to be aware of what the problem is in order to change the problem. Notice, I'm not saying solve or fix the problem. I'm simply saying change the problem. Furthermore, awareness is always the first step, because if you're not aware that your mind is full of noise and conflicting beliefs, there's nothing you can change. And what you'll find once you begin to do the inner work is that when you go into the mind and start challenging your beliefs, you'll find that most of the beliefs that guide you are probably not even true. So, the first part of awareness is obviously to become mindful of the chatter and the noise that's going on in your mind. Too many traders, I find, trade on autopilot. And I was guilty of this for many years of my trading career, especially in the beginning. It's like once they start trading, It is like they're a racehorse with blinders on, or a deer looking at headlights. Personally, my best trading comes when I can maintain a positive level of self-awareness. I like to go for a 90-10 split. That is, I keep 10% of my awareness inward. I'm checking in with myself and being conscious of my inward state. So what you can do is you can try to create an anchor for yourself, whether that's in your breathing or part of your body, to maintain that level of awareness. Because if you're 100% into your trading, then there is no time for self-reflection or awareness of your internal states. This is why it's important to keep a measure of awareness on your internal states and inward focus. So simple exercise. When you're trading, can you feel your feet or some other anchor on your body? Maybe it's the back of your neck or your shoulder or the back of your hand. Keeping that level of awareness is just the beginning. In a few more moments, I'll share some exercises to really increase this level of awareness. But let me take a step back for a second. One of the key goals and objectives around awareness is to simply stop the feeding of our limiting mindsets. You see, the negative emotions that we fear, these limiting mindsets, are basically the fuel that feeds this fire. Think of our limiting mindsets, those ones that no longer serve you, as a parasite, and we're the host. The goal is to stop feeding the parasite. And after a while, that belief or parasite will disappear. And to do this, we have to gain mastery over our emotions. We have to refrain from feeding the emotions that come from fear or aversion. That's the fuel. That's the food source. It's easy to say, yet hard to do. Most people try to control their emotions, right? Through suppressing it through the use of willpower or discipline. And this never works, right? I've never seen it work. This is an uphill battle, a losing battle, and a frustrating battle because it's energy intensive. You're physically, metaphorically, literally, pushing down on something with your willpower. And if we know anything, it's that willpower is depleting. And when you run out of willpower, or when you're not being consciously aware and applying that pressure, it pops up, and usually at the worst times. And you see a lot of the self-help industry, and even in trading psychology circles, recommending people do things like positive affirmations. And I personally think that positive affirmations are really ineffective, because most of the time, for most individuals, they're simply not grounded in reality. It's just fantasy. And in fact, they oftentimes create even more internal conflict. We create this internal disharmony, which creates stress, because you have one belief system that's tied to your unconscious mind and another one tied in your conscious mind, and they conflict. And remember, while the unconscious and conscious disagree over an issue, the unconscious always wins. The unconscious always wins. So, the point is to begin to challenge your beliefs by shining a light of awareness on them. And I'm going to share 2 exercises today. The first exercise, is from Rich Friesen. He's actually a trading coach that was on the podcast back at episode 10. And he has a really good exercise, which I actually I actually created my own version of it a while back, but he actually has even a more thought out exercise, which I really like. And he calls it the SET exercise. SET stands for sensations, emotions, and thoughts. And here's how it goes. I want you to take out a piece of paper and create a column for each one of those categories: sensations, emotions, and thoughts. And every 30 minutes, you want to set up an alarm on your mobile phone or on your computer, And Rich said, you can try every 10 minutes, but I think that's a little bit too frequent. You might want to start with 30 minutes, because even 30 minutes tends to roll around pretty quickly. Every 30 minutes, check in with yourself. You're going to ask, how am I feeling at this time? Right? Check in with your sensations. That's your physical feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts. And rate yourself. The scale goes from a -5 to a +5. So the first one around sensations, that's your physical being, right? Let's say you're very tired. You had very poor sleep the night before. You feel actually sick. You might want to give yourself a -5 there. A +5 would be the exact opposite of the spectrum. Maybe you're bouncing off the walls. You have actually too much energy. You're actually too jittery. You have a hard time calming yourself physically. Give yourself a +5 there. Now do the same with emotions and thoughts. Emotions, if you're operating from a place of fear or depression, then that should be a -5. If you're coming from a place of, again, maybe exuberance, perhaps overconfidence, then that might be a +5. Now do the same thing with your thoughts, negative versus positive thoughts, or overly positive thoughts. Now take those 3 measures and add them together and divide them by 3. We're simply averaging our scores now. And the goal of this exercise is to get as close to 0 as possible. Right? We're actually building literally a technical indicator of your sensations, emotions, and thoughts, that internal state. What you'll notice over time is that you'll have a deeper and deeper awareness of your inner states, to the point that soon you won't even have to check in. You'll just know how you feel. The real benefit here is that the more awareness you can have over your sensations, your emotions and thoughts, the less influence they'll have over you and your trading. And this applies to anywhere in life. This doesn't have to apply just for trading. You can use this same exercise to kind of optimize or tweak yourself when you have to make important decisions, or how you want to come across in important meetings, or how you want to show up in other endeavors in life. All right, so that's a great exercise by Rich Friesen. Now let me share with you one final exercise today. And it's one that I've put together myself, and I call this game the wanting loop. It's a exercise that I play with on a regular basis, and it allows us to catch our unconscious beliefs as they unfold. And in this exercise, it'll allow you to begin to unravel the source of your unconscious beliefs and really name them, so you can begin to deprogram their control over you. Now, last week I was talking to a trader who was profitable but was struggling with letting his winners run. He had developed a preference to taking quick profits. So the question becomes, where did this preference come from? Where did this preference come from? Here's the thing. He had done his homework. He'd reviewed his current history of trades, and he had proven to himself analytically that it was in his best long-term interest to let his winners run. However, he still had the preference, the habit, of taking quick profits. In his words, I know what I need to do, but I can't seem to do it. In the heat of the moment, it's really hard to do. And that is let those winners run. You see, in trading, after a certain point, it's rarely ever a lack of knowledge that's holding us back. And this is a Steve Ward, who we interviewed on this podcast on the last episode 22, talked about. He talked about capability versus capacity, right? This is the classic dichotomy between knowing what to do and then doing what we know. Because time and time again, I hear this and see this in traders I speak to and work with. Because behind every behavior, whether we know it or not, is a belief. Let's get deeper here. The beliefs we hold about ourselves are expressed in the form of our preferences. And if you go to Wikipedia, Wikipedia says about preferences, preferences could be conceived of as an individual's attitude towards a set of objects, typically reflected in an explicit decision-making process. And so whether you know it or not, your wants drive your preferences. That is, the way your wants are expressed are through your beliefs and your preferences. This is very important. The way your wants are expressed are through your beliefs and preferences. As human beings, all of us have 4 core wants. It's important to remember these 4 core wants. They are, number 1, the want for approval. Number 2, control. Number 3, security. Number 4, separation or significance. Here's the thing. Most of us have these bevy of wants, right? But wanting rarely, let's put it another way. Wanting equates to lack. It does not equal having or being. Wanting equates to lack. You don't believe me? Would you rather want approval or have approval? Would you rather want control or have control? Would you rather want security or have security? Would you rather want to be a good trader or would you rather be a good trader? Do you want trading success or have trading success? Of course, I would rather be than want, have than want. Because wanting equates to lack. It does not equate to having. See, we all know this intuitively. For instance, we all know it's way easier to make money when you don't need it. When you already have a lot of money, it's easier to make more money. Or to get more personal, if you're looking for a partner, it's already easier when you already have a girlfriend or boyfriend. Right? If you want to get a new girlfriend, the worst thing you want to be is come from a place of desperation because you don't have a girlfriend. But most of us have the tendency to focus on the struggle that leads up to having rather than having itself. And these underlying motivators, again, the desire for approval, control, safety, and separation, they form the core of all of our limitations. So, how does this pertain to your trading? Maybe you have the need to show people you're right by trying to pick tops and bottoms. That is, you care more about being right than making money. If so, that could be tied to wanting approval. Maybe you have issues with trades that develop slowly. You lack the patience to stay the course and close out your positions before they end up moving to your targets. Can you see how your want for control could be getting in your way? Maybe you have issues trading following a loss or a series of losses, and you fear getting into the next trade because you don't want to lose more money. Maybe it's the money you can't afford to lose. Can you see how wanting security could be affecting your decisions? Maybe you don't like being wrong or fear taking a loss because that could hurt your ego and hurt badly, have your image hurt badly, and others would look down upon you. Can you see how that could be an issue of wanting significance, or wanting to look different or be significant in some way? And in many ways, a lot of our actions could be a combination of several of these wants, because this model applies to all of our areas of our lives, because these 4 basic desires sit underneath all of our behaviors. So let me share with you an exercise now. And the exercise is just like the SCT exercise in that every 30 minutes or at any critical juncture, we call them these hot button moments in your trading, I want you to check in and ask yourself the following 5 questions. You found a hot button moment. You're going to ask yourself, what am I feeling or thinking right now? This is the first question. Furthermore, what want is driving this behavior? Ask yourself, question number 2. Would I be willing to really welcome this want right now? And really sit there and feel that want. Don't brush it over. Sit there and really accept it. Number 3. Now, would I be willing to let go of this want? Answer honestly. Could be a yes or no. Number 4. Could I let go of this want? Answer truthfully, yes or no. And number 5. When can I let go of this want? And I want you to answer now. Now check in again. If you've been open to this experience, you probably feel a little or a lot lighter already. But if there's still more of a charge, go back through the process, right? Could you let go of wanting that? Go through those 5 steps again. So let's say, you're watching the charts and price is unfolding in a way that's making you very uncomfortable. You really want to either take a quick loss, take a quick gain, or just trail out your position. The 5 questions again are, what am I feeling right now? It could be impatience. What want is driving this behavior? It's probably the want of control. I want to control this trade. But clearly in trading, there is no control. Once you're in the trade, it's no longer in your control. Number 2, ask yourself, would I be really willing to welcome this feeling of wanting control right now? Don't brush it over again. Just really sit there and accept it. This is how it is. This is where you're at. Yes. Number 3, would I be willing to let go of this want for control? Yes. Could I let go of wanting control? Yes. When? Now. So you do these steps again until you no longer notice the charge. Personally, it doesn't take me more than 1 or 2 minutes to do this process. Usually I only have to do the loop once or twice. And after doing this for a while, you'll begin to feel a real sense of freedom. Because when we can let go of wanting, we can feel more like we can have. That's because the most powerful place to live from is the position that it's okay whether we get it or not. And this is what it means and feels like to not be tied to the outcome. So let's wrap things up. In summary today, in today's show, I shared with you the core concepts around understanding your beliefs. We talked about the ATI framework: awareness, transformation, and intention, the importance of raising your awareness, and finally, some exercises to do just that. If these concepts or these exercises have helped you or your trading, I'd love to hear experiences. Drop me a line. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any questions you'd like to hear answered on the air or have any topics you'd like us to cover, head on over to the blog site where you can now record a message and send it to me, or just email me your questions at houston@thetradingedge.org. Happy trading.
You've been listening to the Trading Edges podcast. We've taken this interview and summarized all the big ideas so that you can take action. Just head over to thetradingedge.org/podcast to find the show notes, transcript, resources, and to continue the conversation.